Greetings survivors and friends, SHADOWFRAX here with your regular data blast of all things PC Master Race Rust related, and today we have a new toy and remote barbecuing solution, and I'll tell you how you get hold of it. But first, a catch up of everything you need to know about the latest patch, which dropped yesterday as of speaking these words, and there's quite a bit of new info to go through, so pin your ears back and listen up. As mentioned in the last couple of vids, the cargo ship now docks at the freshly reworked harbours. It'll dock at the closest one to wherever it spawns, and only that one, staying there for roughly 10 minutes while some fresh cargo is loaded. Cargo which, if you're on time, can include you, as it's possible to open and hide inside the containers. That's one way aboard, but you'll also notice some other methods, such as jumping directly on or from the 4 new doors that have been added on each side of the ship above the waterline. A couple of extra things to note. Once the ship starts to dock, the bridge swings out of the way and the far side of the harbour becomes cut off, so get there in plenty of time, and the ship will sound its horn 60 seconds before departing to give you a cue on when to get a move on. By default, the cargo ship replenishes its loot every 10 minutes, up to 3 times, and when the ship docks at the harbour, it will attempt to trigger one of those loot refreshes. Although, if all 3 have already happened, it will be unable to spawn any more loot. All in all, this should turn what was traditionally a fairly sedate monument into one typified by long periods of sedateness interspersed with short bursts of extreme violence. A bit like cricket. Cargo ships aren't the only thing getting new tradesmen's entrances. As mentioned before, both oil rigs now have new ways to counter, with moon pools on both connected to sat tubes that can be climbed to level 3 and an extra lower entrance on the large one. Not only, but also both rigs now have brand new dedicated CCTV station models here, which, despite the signs, seem to be working okay, and I'm told the intention is to add these stations to other monuments in the future. In last week's vid I showed off the new minigun, and this was met with mixed reviews, but as I said, it was subject to change. So listen up and I will reveal all. Not like that. This is now a weapon you'll see in the hands of thick scientists, and can be obtained as a very rare drop from said thick scientists and in elite and hackable crates. I don't have all the percentage chance stats, but I'm told it's about an 8 to 10% chance to find one in a hackable. They can hold 300 rounds of 5.56, which equates to about 30 seconds of continuous fire, but to reload and unload one you'll need to be close to a tier 2 workbench. Considering the rate of fire, I'd say the accuracy at range is still really good, but they do now have a fair amount of recoil, and here's how that looks. Also to note is that you need to hold down the right mouse button for a couple of seconds first to spin it up and keep it held down whilst firing. There's no ADS of course, your movement is slowed when firing, so no running and mini gunning, and that just having it spinning without firing will also degrade it. You'll notice it comes with an ammo backpack, but this is purely cosmetic, only shows when the weapon is equipped, doesn't take up your backpack slot, and if you're wearing a backpack or shoot, then that will show on you instead. Interestingly though, unlike other weapons, it won't show on your body if you have it in your inventory but not equipped, even if it's the only weapon you have. I imagine this will change, so make the most of it. Also to be experienced in this patch are thick scientists with new military flamethrowers. I'm told you'll only get these as a drop from these scientists, and the chance is about 10%. These are in all respects an upgrade to the basic model, with 50 more capacity, a longer range and greater damage, as demonstrated on these bears. NPCs were harmed in this experiment. Flamethrowers are also now more effective in general. There's a new tool cupboard skin in town, actually the first of its kind, costing 8 quid or about $10. It doesn't just look pretty, but also, as long as you're authed on it, shows you info on screens about upkeep, tool cupboard inventory, and the number of blocks and doors in the base. Oh, and despite looks, it doesn't require power. The patrol heli has had a whole range of improvements to its behaviour. You can read all the details in the blog or pause here, but to summarise, its attack pattern has been randomised, including rocket amount, drop-off distance, and turn speed. There's a new fun attack phase where it pummels you from all directions with rockets, and a new zones feature has been introduced which will determine where the heli sticks around or moves on from, and it will also prioritise people who are attacking it, which should prevent your house randomly being blasted. In addition, probably the biggest change is that of no-go zones. And to quote, "When a zone performs enough damage to a heli too quickly, then that zone is marked as a no-go zone. The heli will flee the area and attempt to avoid it as best as it can. This is to encourage it to get out of areas that are going to get it too quickly, encouraging bigger groups to chase, build defences as they go, and bring more PvP to the whole map." Let me know what you think to this change down below, please. Oh, And there are a couple of new convars to take note of for server owners here. A big quality of life update for electricians is here, and to recap, all logic gates, switches, buttons and any intermediate components really have had their power requirements stripped. It's only active things like lights, sensors, turrets, etc. that have power needs now, and this comes with a lot of bug fixes that should bring an end to unnecessary battery drainage too. Also, the deploy guides should match the location of all deployed electrical components now. They won't rotate on walls based on your view angle, and you can align them to others by holding left shift when deploying. More improvements are coming down the wire, and in future there will be reworks and extended functionality for some components. Now, I know how you all love anti-cheat. I mentioned about this in last week's vid, but there's more detailed write-up on the blog which you might want to read. The TLDR of it is that more is being done lately. More team resources are being put into combating the issue, and one highlight is that some info leaks have been plugged, such as tool cupboard and turret auth lists and the locations of buried stashes. I mean, someone's probably already found a way around this, but such is the eternal struggle. Anyway, read the blog for more info. Bradley now has 4 scientists on board that will spill out in a cloud of smoke to defend it when it gets below a certain amount of health. This applies to launch site and roaming versions. In other changes, seeds now have proper world models in the form of burlap sacks with the contents written on the outside. And finally, mushrooms have their own world models. What a time to be alive. Server DNS support was added for server owners. Pause here to read. And an experimental option's been added to the server browser for ping estimation, and this is to provide some clarity when it comes to fake pings, which can come from certain forms of DDoS protection. It takes a few seconds to estimate things when checked, and this is subject to tweaking to make sure that these are accurate, but every little helps, eh? Right, that's the main news sorted out. Please let me know your thoughts in the comments. If you like this vid, please leave a like. If you want to subscribe, please subscribe. You can find me on Twitch and lots of other places, including my Steam group, and also support my work here via Patreon, YouTube memberships, and super thanks. I shall catch you all soon, but in the meantime, keep calm and stay rusty. Cheerio. With short bursts of extreme violence. A bit like cricket.